When I was younger, I spent a lot of time here, hiding in the trees and walking in the woods. There used to be a forest that muffled the sound of the world. Now the sounds carry. The trees are mostly gone, and what's left is a tangled mat of wisteria. It's beautiful at a glance, but devastating when you get a little bit closer. This is what wisteria does when no one's watching. It climbs, strangles, smothers. It's not evil, it's nature growing and competing in the way it knows how. That's not the vine's fault. When it was moved here, wisteria found a home without limits. Well, without natural limits. My desire to see the trees return, to rescue what survives under the overgrowth and reclaim the forest is intervening. Wisteria isn't the only vine I have growing out here, and isn't the only thing using the trees to climb. Some of it invasive, like kudzu and chocolate vines, and others are native, like poison ivy and muscadines. Now, the things I notice that separates these vines is their growing nature. The invasive tends to be aggressive, with binding growth, while the natives are less invasive. Now, that's not to say that you won't find a case where a native vine isn't overgrown or pulled down a tree, caused some other problem, but what seems to always be the case with the non-native vines. I cut this root yesterday. It's a wisteria vine, probably about 5 years old. It's wrapped around this dead tree. Without any doubt, it was killed by the vine. When I pull it back, you can see the scars. It's just ripping the bark off. And it has been sitting dead for a while, but it just shows how deeply it cuts into the wood. Trees use the tissue layer under their bark to move around as food and water. It's like our blood, carrying the nutrients, the means for life. When the vines wrap like this and cuts off that flow, water can't come up from the roots and sugar can't come down from the leaves. It's like a blood clot. And if enough of that circulation's cut off, or another stress actor comes into play, like drought or disease, this tree, any plant, it's gonna die. This is poison ivy, and I'm not gonna touch it for poison ivy reasons, but you look at how it's growing. Instead of relying on the upward constriction to climb, it's anchored into the bark. Can still cause problems for the tree, but this vine's much older than the wisteria I just showed you, and this tree is still alive and well. The same's true for this muscadine vine. They use tendrils to anchor. It's likely been growing with this tree for 10 to 15 years, and barring something unexpected, it'll live a long, full life growing amongst it. It's likely caused some small problems for the tree, maybe a few branches and overshaded some leaves, but it's not dominating it. These plants, they grew in this area together. They're checked by animals and insects, balanced by the seasons. Creates an equilibrium. Now, I can't reach the canopy, so I'm cutting these vines at the ground and again at head height. It's a simple way to stop the vines from growing upward without tearing down limbs or damaging the bark and the trees that I'm trying to cut free. Now, this works well for wisteria. Everything's separated from the root. It dies and dries out pretty quickly. Over time, the top vines, everything that's left up there, and becomes brittle and it'll fall down on its own. Well, this is a good example of what you hope to see. I cut these last year, and a strong gust of wind knocked the whole tangle down all at one time. When it falls down, you can come back through, clearing out what's left by hand. Slow, patient work, but I am making progress. And once it's dried out like this, it almost falls apart, which makes pulling it off and dragging it out a lot easier. You don't have to struggle trying to figure out what needs to be cut. You can just give it one strong pull and it'll all come with you. I've started replanting where I can with local trees, and this is how I go about deciding what I'm going to plant. I'm really just seeing what's growing. Well, I guess I should probably be a little bit more specific than that. I see what's growing that should be growing here. The last thing I need to do is to be the reason something else invasive starts to get a foothold around here. I look for young saplings that are popping up in places that they have little chance to survive or thrive in. Like these here in this pine straw pile. They're overshaded by a magnolia, and they likely won't survive growing in this odd spot. If I can get them up without tearing their roots, put them in small pots with some nice potting soil and bring them inside for a period of tended growth. I also pick up any seeds, tree nuts, and fruits that I see and try to get sprouted what I can and grow them to transplanting size. Now, plants don't always do so well being moved around. They kind of expect to stay in one spot when they've taken root. It really improves the chances of getting things to work out, knowing that the stuff that I'm trying to plant already wants to be growing here. Now, I'm not a master gardener, and my long-term goal doing all this is to make something that doesn't need me to keep growing. Something that resembles the way this land just wants to grow. That's where my method and spacing have come from, doing these trees. Gardeners and landscapers will recommend planting trees 20 to 30 feet apart, and that's really good advice if you want a nice landscape yard. I want woods, and until you get closer to old growth or specimen trees, this is nature's spacing. And not all these trees are going to survive. It's hard being a plant. You face the elements, weather, pests, diseases, other plants. Spring and fall are the best time to be doing this while the trees are dormant and the weather's mild. Helps reduce the stressors and helps them focus on root growth instead of trying to make new leaves and grow upward. It's not a master plan, nowhere near perfect, but it is alive again. A place for growth where my daughter can walk and have her own adventures, where life other than invasive vines, thorns, and weeds have a chance. I think about bounce a lot while I'm doing this, and about everything's just really fighting to live. Me, the trees, the vines, all the small things in between. Sometimes it feels like we're all just fighting to claim something. Light, water, space. I've come to see it as less about removing the invasive and more about giving the land a chance to remember. Maybe that's all reclamation really is, just giving something back, piece by piece, until it remembers. Some of the changes, they can't be undone. They're out of my control. It'll take these trees and my plant and free from the vines most of my lifetime to grow into the size that resembles anything of the forest that I remember. The world's gotten louder too, like the vines, this area's kept growing. I fight the zoning changes closest to home, but the quiet outdoors have passed into memory. When enough trees take root, the noise will soften, and that'll seem a little bit further away again. Maybe in the slow exchange between us, this land will remember how to breathe, and hopefully Dealing with invasive wisteria will also fade into memory. This one, it's a mulberry. Grows into a tree, a mulberry tree.
It's got a little stick holding it up.
They're exposed to a regular change in wind and movement of the sun. It helps make the stem a lot stronger. The ones started inside, even with the ceiling fan on them, their trunks don't grow as thick or woody. So whenever I move them outside, I give them support to adjust. This is a red cedar.
Aren't you allergic to red cedar?
I am allergic to red cedar, but they're a good tree to have. Immediately. So that's their really strong anchor stuff. And you can pull it, it won't go nowhere. So that's like their anchor, keeps their web in between it.
That's why it's layered compared to our...
I think so. Like I haven't read anything anywhere about that being the reason, but I mean if you look at it, they got this outer layer that is made out of the strong silk, and you can literally push into it pretty strong without doing any damage to the sticky web.
She's climbing up.
Well, yeah, she's freaking out. She doesn't know what's going on. To the sticky web that's underneath. It could also be to help prevent leaf litter from getting into it.
Oh, I do notice a lot of that with our spiders.
There's a leaf coming.
Wait, is that a male on hers too?
Where?
Kind of see tucked back there.
Right there?
Yeah. Oh.
Yeah.
And he's down. You made him run away.
That's a safety net web. So they keep a little piece of web ready to go. Run away from.
Well, that's an interesting idea. So there's no research on it. It's just kind of...
I wouldn't say there's no research on it. I haven't read anything.
Gotcha.